So I'm presenting today um, a another little tutorial about surrealism and working in Photoshop, um, more or less about some basic Photoshop functions than surrealism. This one is going to be about layers and how they work together, and we can make them kind of look like part of the same thing really quickly. One of the things that I want you to notice is about Photoshop is that number one, we have layers and that you can label them. This here is my little pointed headed horsey, um, unicornio, right? And on our last tutorial, I showed you how to use the magic wand to cut her out. Maybe in another one, I'll show you how to take this watermark out, but we don't need to do that for now. For right now, what I want to do is I'm going to show you a couple things about how layers work, right? First of all, you should know that layers can be moved around, right? I can't see my unicorn now because it is literally underneath my landscape background layer. Also, they can be turned on and off with this eyeball. So maybe this is a review, maybe it's not. But there's my background on, unicorn on and off, and changing the order of them, right? The other thing that we can do with layers here is all up in the top. I mean, and there's lots of things we can do. You can change the opacity of any particular layer, and it's going to work on the one that's highlighted, right? And I could turn that down, and already my unicorn is lost in the mist of the mountains, right? Which is super fantastic. Um, but you can also, right next to that, change the blending mode of your layer. That's the way this layer works with the layers that are underneath of it. And I like to just go on here, click normal, and then I can use my arrow keys on my keyboard to just go down. And sometimes they don't do anything like dissolve, unless, because they're in the same bar, you mess with the opacity as well. There you can see the dissolve working because dissolve is an opacity type of change. So I'm just going to leave it at like 75-ish so that you can see if any of the other ones, when I go back over here, click on dissolve. And again, I'm going through with the arrow keys on my keyboard. You can see what darken does. You can see what multiply does, color burn, and you can just scroll through until you find one that you like, if you like one of these, right? Maybe this isn't what you want to do, but I wanted to at least show it to you as a way that you can make layers interact with each other because it can be used, right, on another layer, right? What we might call an adjustment layer. And I'm not going to get all into adjustment layers just yet. Um, but I'm going to show you kind of how to make one of your own by adding a new layer. That's this little tab in the layers palette, right? And I'm just going to fill this entire layer with my default color. I've got yellow here. Using my paint bucket, which is possibly buried underneath of the gradient tool. Its keyboard shortcut is G. Just going to click on it. It's on top, covered the whole thing in yellow. And if I change this layer, all of a sudden, it's affecting every layer that's underneath and giving them all that kind of yellow feel. And they look a lot more like they belong, especially now, in the same artwork. So this is just a quick cheat and a simple way to use layer blending modes with a colored layer to make your layers below it look like they belong in the same thing.